The rain hammered against the tall windows of the Grandview Hotel like thousands of tiny fists demanding entry. Clara Bennett pushed her cleaning cart down the marble corridor of the 15th floor, her shoulders aching from 12 straight hours of scrubbing, polishing, and pretending she was invisible. The clock on the wall showed 11:47 p.m., and she still had 2 more floors before her shift ended. She was so tired that her bones felt hollow. But stopping meant thinking, and thinking meant remembering the stack of medical bills sitting on her kitchen table. Bills with numbers so large they seemed impossible, unreal. Like a cruel joke the universe decided to play on a girl who had already lost both parents and was now watching her little brother fight for his life. Tommy needed surgery. A heart valve replacement that would cost more money than Clara could earn in 5 years. The doctor said he had maybe 6 months without it. 6 months before her only family, her reason for waking up each morning, would be gone forever. Clara swallowed the lump in her throat and kept moving. Room 1507 was her last stop on this floor. She knocked twice, heard nothing, and slid her master key into the lock. The door opened silently, and she wheeled her cart inside. The suite was magnificent. Floor 2 ceiling windows overlooked the glittering city below where millions of lights fought against the darkness. Leather furniture, art that probably cost more than her yearly salary, and a silence so thick it felt like walking into another dimension. But the suite was not. Empty. A man sat near the window in a wheelchair, his back to her, shoulders broad beneath a crisp white shirt. He did not turn when she entered, did not acknowledge her presence at all. Clara hesitated. The guest list said this room should have been vacant. She should leave. Come back later. Follow protocol, but something made her stay. Maybe it was the way he sat so perfectly still, like a statue carved from loneliness. Maybe it was the way the city lights reflected off the window. It's making him look like a shadow caught between 2 worlds. Clara cleared her throat softly. I'm sorry, sir. I did not know anyone was here. I can come back. Stay. His voice cut through the room like warm honey poured over broken glass. Deep, commanding, but carrying an edge of something raw underneath. Please. That last word. Please. Men who stayed in $1,500 night suites did not say please to cleaning staff. Clara's fingers tightened around her spray bottle. Are you sure? I do not want to disturb you. You're not. He turned his chair around, and Clara felt the air leave her lungs. He was beautiful in the way storms were beautiful. Sharp jawline covered in dark stubble, eyes the color of winter steel, and a face that looked like it had forgotten how to smile, but remembered every reason not to. There were shadows under his eyes, the kind that came from nights spent fighting battles no one else could see. His gaze swept over her face, studying her with an intensity that made her feel exposed, seen in a way she had not felt in years. Not with pity, not with indifference, with curiosity, like she was a puzzle he wanted to solve. What's your name? He asked. Clara Bennett. He repeated it slowly, tasting each syllable. Clara. And he gestured to the chair across from him. Sit with me for a moment. Sir, I should not. I have work to finish, Owen. My name is Owen Mitchell. And she noticed how fluid his movements were, how he commanded the wheelchair like it was an extension of himself rather than a limitation. And I'm asking you to sit, not as a guest to staff, as one person to another. Something in his voice made her obey. Clara perched on the edge of the leather chair, her cleaning uniform suddenly feeling too thin, too worn. She tucked a strand of dark hair behind her ear and waited. Owen studied her quietly. You look exhausted. I'm fine. That is what people say when they are far from fine. His eyes held hers. How many jobs do you work? Clara blinked. Guests never asked questions like that. 3. The hotel, a diner in the mornings and weekend shifts at a grocery store. That is not living. That is surviving. Surviving is all I can afford right now. Something flickered in his expression. Understanding maybe, or recognition. Family. She should not be telling him this. Should not be sharing her life with a stranger in an expensive suite. But his eyes held such genuine interest, such careful attention, that the words spilled out before she could stop them. My younger brother, Tommy, He is 16 and needs heart surgery. The kind that costs more money than people like me ever see. Her voice cracked slightly. So yes, I'm surviving. Because if I do not, he will not survive either. Owen was quiet for a long moment. Rain continued to pound against the windows, and somewhere far below, the city hummed with life. But in that suite, there was only silence, and two people who understood what it meant to carry weight no one else could see. I was in a car accident 2 years ago, Owen said finally. Drunk driver ran a red light. I woke up in a hospital bed, and the doctors told me I would never walk again. He gestured to his legs. My fiancée left 3 weeks later. Said she could not handle being with someone broken. Clara's heart squeezed. You are not broken. His eyes locked onto hers with such force she felt it in her chest. Say that again? You are not broken, Clara repeated, firmer this time. You are here. You are breathing. You are whole. A wheelchair does not change that. Owen leaned forward, close enough that she could see the gold flecks in his gray eyes. Do you know how long it has been since someone looked at me like that? Like what? Like I am still a man worth knowing. The words hung between them, heavy with meaning Clara did not dare examine. Her pulse hammered in her throat. She should leave. Should run before something shifted that could not be undone. But Owen reached out and gently touched her hand, just his fingertips against her knuckles. The touch was feather-light, but sent electricity racing up her arm. Clara Bennett, he said softly, I think you just changed my entire night. She stood abruptly, her legs shaking. I should go. I have other rooms. Come back tomorrow night. At the same time, it was not a question. Why? Because I want to talk to you again. Because in 15 minutes you made me feel more human than I have felt in 2 years. Right? His voice dropped to almost a whisper. Please, that word again, please. Clara nodded before she could think better of it. Tomorrow night? She left the suite in a daze, her cleaning cart forgotten, her heart pounding like a drum. Behind her, Owen Mitchell sat in the darkness, staring at the door she had just walked through, knowing with absolute certainty that his carefully controlled world had just tilted on its axis. Neither of them realized that one conversation in the rain-soaked night would become the first thread in a story that would unravel and rebuild them both. Clara did not sleep that night. She lay in her tiny apartment, staring at the water-stained ceiling while her mind replayed every moment in that suite. The way Owen looked at her. The gentleness in his touch. The raw honesty in his voice when he spoke about being broken. She had met hundreds of hotel guests over the past 3 years. Businessmen who barely glanced at her. Wealthy families who treated her like furniture. Celebrities who pretended she did not exist. But Owen Mitchell had seen her. Really seen her. And that terrified her more than she wanted to admit. The next evening, Clara found herself standing outside room 1507 at exactly 11:47 p.m. Her hand trembled as she raised it to knock. Before her knuckles touched the door, it swung open. Owen sat just inside, wearing dark slacks and a navy shirt that made his eyes look even more intense. He had been waiting for her. You came, he said, and there was something like relief in his voice. I said I would. People say many things they do not mean. Gestured for her to enter. But I'm glad you are different. Clara stepped inside, and this time she noticed details she had missed before. Medical equipment tucked discreetly in the corner. Books stacked on every surface, some open as if he had been reading 3 at once. A laptop displaying financial charts and numbers that made her head spin. Owen moved to the sitting area, where he had set out 2 cups of tea on the coffee table. Steam rose in delicate spirals, catching the lamplight. I did not know if you liked tea, he said, but I thought it might be better than standing awkwardly. Clara sat down, wrapping her hands around the warm cup. You did not have to do this. I wanted to. Owen watched her take a sip, and something in his expression softened. Tell me about Tommy. What is he like? For the next hour, Clara talked. She told him about how Tommy loved astronomy and could name every constellation, how he drew comics in the margins of his notebooks and dreamed of becoming an architect. How he never complained about the pain, never asked why their parents had died in that house fire 5 years ago. Never blamed Clara for working so much that she barely saw him anymore. "He is the best person I know," Clara said quietly, "and I am watching him fade. Every day he gets a little weaker, a little more pale. The doctors say his heart is working at 30% capacity. Without surgery, he will not see his 17th birthday." Owen was silent for a long moment. Then he said something that made Clara's world tilt. "What if I told you I could help?" She looked up sharply. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I have resources, money, access to the best cardiac surgeons in the country." He leaned forward, his gaze intense. "I could make sure Tommy gets his surgery. The best care possible. Everything he needs." Clara felt her throat close. "I cannot accept charity. It would not be charity." Owen's voice was steady, measured, like he was presenting a business proposal. "It would be an exchange. An exchange of what?" He took a breath, and for the first time since she met him, Clara saw nervousness flicker across his face. "Clara, I need to tell you something about myself. I'm not just a guest at this hotel. I'm the CEO of Mitchell Technologies. We design medical devices and surgical equipment used in hospitals worldwide." Clara's eyes widened. She had heard of Mitchell Technologies. Everyone had. It was one of the largest medical companies in the country. 2 weeks ago, Owen continued, my board of directors held a meeting. They want to remove me as CEO. They claim that my accident has made me unfit to lead, that I'm unstable, isolated, lacking the personal foundation necessary for someone in my position. His jaw tightened. They are wrong. But perception matters in business. And right now, they see a man alone in a wheelchair and assume I'm broken. But you are not, Clara said fiercely. I know. You know, but they do not. He reached across the table and took her hand. Clara, if I were married, if I could show them that I have a stable personal life, a partner who stands beside me, they would have no grounds to push me out. I could keep my company and continue the work that saves lives every day. Clara's heart began to race. She knew where this was going, but could not quite believe it. I'm asking you to marry me, Owen said. Not a real marriage, a contract. 1 year. You would live in my home, attend events with me, play the role of my wife in public. In return, I will pay for Tommy's surgery immediately. All medical expenses, the best doctors, everything. You will also receive a monthly salary of $20,000. When the year is over, you will leave with $500,000 and your brother will be healthy. The numbers were so large, Clara could not process them. $500,000. Tommy's surgery. A year of not working 3 jobs. A year of actually sleeping through the night. But it was not real. It was pretend. A business arrangement with an expiration date. You barely know me, Clara whispered. How can you trust me with something this important? Because in 2 conversations, you have shown me more genuine kindness than most people have in 2 years. Because you look at me and see a person, not a disability or a bank account. Because when you talk about your brother, I see the kind of love that makes people do impossible things. Owen's thumb traced circles on the back of her hand. And because something tells me you are exactly the person I need. Clara pulled her hand away and stood, walking to the window. The city sprawled below, all those lights representing all those lives. People with problems and dreams and loves and losses. She was just one person in all that vastness. What made her special enough for this? What would people think? She asked. I'm a hotel maid. You are a billionaire. No one will believe it. They will believe what we show them. Owen moved his chair beside her. Love does not follow logic, Clara. People fall for each other across every possible divide. We just have to make them believe we are one of those stories. And after the year, what happens then? You go back to your life. With money, with security, with a brother who has his whole future ahead of him. Juan's voice softened. I'm not asking you to love me, Clara. I'm asking you to help me keep something I built with my own hands. And in return, I will give you the one thing you need most. Clara closed her eyes. This was insane. Marriages, even fake ones, did not work like this. People did not just agree to live together, pretend to be in love, and then walk away. But Tommy's face appeared in her mind. His smile that got weaker every week. His laughter that came less frequently. The way he tried so hard to be brave when she knew he was terrified. She thought about the stack of bills on her kitchen table. The calls from debt collectors. The nights she cried in the shower so Tommy would not hear. The crushing weight of knowing she could not save him, no matter how hard she worked. Owen was offering her a way out. A strange, complicated, temporary way out, but a way nonetheless. If I agree, Clara said slowly, there have to be rules, boundaries. This is business, not real. Of course, we will have everything in writing. Separate bedrooms. No expectations beyond what we agree to. Owen paused. But Clara, I need you to know something. I will never hurt you. I will never demand anything you are not willing to give. Your safety and comfort will always come first. She turned to face him, searching his eyes for any sign of deception. All she found was sincerity and something that looked like hope. I need 1 day to think about it, Clara said. This is too big to decide right now. Take 2 days. 3. Whatever you need. Owen pulled a business card from his pocket and handed it to her. My private number. Call me when you have decided. Clara took the card, her fingers brushing against his. That same electricity sparked between them, and she saw Owen feel it too. His breath caught slightly, his eyes darkening. She left quickly. Before she could do something foolish, like stay. The next 24 hours were torture. Clara tried to work, but her mind kept wandering. She visited Tommy in the hospital and watched him struggle to breathe after walking just 10 feet. She looked at apartments she could never afford. She imagined a future where Tommy was healthy and she was not drowning in debt. That night, she called the number on Owen's card. He answered on the first ring. Clara? Yes, she said. My answer is yes. There was a pause, then Owen's voice came through warm and certain. Thank you. I promise you will not regret this. 3 days later, Clara stood in a lawyer's office signing papers that would change her life. The contract was thorough. 1 year of marriage, public appearances as needed. Separate living spaces in his home. Immediate payment for Tommy's surgery. Monthly salary deposited directly. And a final payment of $500,000 when the year ended. Owen signed across from her. His handwriting bold and confident. When they finished, the lawyer congratulated them and left them alone. So, Clara said, staring at the ring Owen had slipped onto her finger minutes ago. A simple platinum band with a small diamond, elegant, understated, perfect. I guess I'm your wife now. You are.
Oh.
Owen reached for her hand and brought it to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles. And I promise to be worthy of that title, even if it is temporary. Clara's heart skipped. The kiss felt too real, too tender. Too much like the beginning of something that was supposed to stay safely in the realm of pretend. When do I move in? She asked, pulling her hand back gently. Tomorrow. I'll send a car for you and your things. I do not have many things. Then it will be an easy move. Owen smiled, a real smile that transformed his entire face. Welcome to your new life, Clara Mitchell. Clara Mitchell. The name sounded foreign and thrilling, and absolutely terrifying. She had just agreed to marry a man she barely knew, to live in his world, to pretend to love him while keeping. Her heart carefully locked away. It was the most logical decision she had ever made, and the most dangerous. The Mitchell estate looked like something from a dream Clara would never dare to have. Iron gates opened onto a winding driveway lined with oak trees older than her grandmother would have been. The mansion rose 3 stories high, all stone and glass and careful. Architecture that whispered old money and older power. Clara sat in the back of the car Owen had sent, her 2 suitcases in the trunk containing everything she owned. She pressed her hand against the window and felt her stomach twist. This was not her world. She was a girl who grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment, where the radiator clanked and the neighbors fought at 3 in the morning. She ate ramen for dinner and knew exactly how long milk stayed good past its expiration date. She belonged in small spaces with chipped paint and flickering lights. Not here. Never here. The car stopped in front of massive double doors. Before Clara could reach for the handle, the door opened and Owen appeared. He wore gray slacks and a black sweater that made him look softer somehow, more approachable. His eyes found hers immediately. "Welcome home," he said. "Home." The word felt too big in her mouth. Owen gestured for her to follow him inside. The foyer alone was larger than her entire apartment. Marble floors reflected chandeliers that dripped crystal light. A curved staircase swept upward like something from a movie. Paintings that probably cost more than Tommy's surgery lined the walls. "I know it's overwhelming," Owen said, reading her expression. "I felt the same way when I first inherited this place from my father. Too much space for one person." "It's beautiful," Clara managed. "It's empty." Owen moved his chair toward the staircase where a sleek elevator was built into the wall. "But maybe it will feel less empty now." He led her upstairs to a bedroom suite that took her breath away. Green walls. A bed big enough for 4 people. Windows overlooking gardens where roses bloomed in impossible shades of pink and red. An attached bathroom with a tub that looked like a small pool. "This is yours," Owen said. "Your private space?" "I'm down the hall in the east wing. There's a housekeeper, Mrs. Grace Chen, who comes 3 times a week. A chef if you want meals prepared, though the kitchen is fully stocked if you prefer to cook. Anything you need? Just ask." Clara walked to the window, her reflection ghost-like in the glass. "When does Tommy get his surgery?" "Already scheduled. 3 days from now. Dr. Robert Hayes is the best cardiac surgeon in the country. He'll perform the operation himself." Owen moved beside her. "I've arranged for Tommy to be moved to a private room at St. Catherine's Hospital. He'll have round-the-clock care." Tears burned Clara's eyes. 3 days. In 3 days, her brother would have a chance at life. "How can I ever thank you?" "You already are. By being here, by helping me keep what I built." Owen hesitated, then added softly, "And maybe by letting me get to know you better, the real you. Not just the woman who signed a contract." Clara turned to face him. "What do you want to know?" "Everything." "What makes you laugh? What keeps you awake at night besides worry? What you dream about when you let yourself dream?" The question was too intimate for a business arrangement, but his eyes held such genuine curiosity that Clara found herself answering. "I dream about normal things. A life where I can go to college and study literature. Where Tommy and I can take a vacation somewhere with an ocean. Where I do not count every dollar and wonder which bill to pay first." She smiled sadly. "Small dreams for a small life." "There's nothing small about you, Clara." Owen's voice was fierce. "You raised your brother alone. You worked yourself to exhaustion to keep him alive. You sacrificed everything for someone you love. That is not small. That is extraordinary." No one had ever called her extraordinary. Clara felt something crack open in her chest, something warm and terrifying. The next 3 days blurred together. Clara learned the routines of the house, met Mrs. Grace Chen, who was kind and asked no questions, and attended her first business dinner with Owen. She wore a dress he had bought her. Deep blue silk that made her feel like someone else entirely. Owen introduced her as his wife, and she watched people's faces shift from skepticism to curiosity to acceptance. He played his part perfectly. His hand on the small of her back, the way he looked at her when she spoke, like every word mattered. The casual intimacy of shared glances across a crowded room. To everyone watching, they were a couple in love. Clara tried to remember it was acting. But when Owen's fingers laced through hers under the table, when he leaned close to whisper something funny in her ear, when his eyes followed her across the room with an intensity that made her skin warm, it became harder to remember where the pretend ended and something else began. On the morning of Tommy's surgery, Clara paced the hospital waiting room like a caged animal. Owen sat quietly nearby, giving her space, but staying close enough that she knew he was there. "What if something goes wrong?" Clara whispered, stopping in front of him. "Then we deal with it together." Owen reached for her hand. "But Dr. Hayes has done this surgery hundreds of times. Tommy is young and strong. He will be fine. You cannot promise that." "No. But I can promise you will not face whatever comes alone." Clara sank into the chair beside him, and without thinking, she leaned her head against his shoulder. Owen went very still, then slowly brought his arm around her, holding her close. They sat like that for 5 hours, not talking, just breathing together. And Clara realized this did not feel like pretend. It felt like the most real thing she had experienced in years. When Dr. Hayes finally emerged, his smile told them everything. The surgery was a complete success. Tommy's new valve is functioning perfectly. He'll need a few weeks of recovery, but he's going to be fine. Clara burst into tears. Owen pulled her into his arms, and she buried her face against his chest and sobbed. Relief and gratitude and exhaustion all poured out while Owen held her, his hand stroking her hair, his voice murmuring soft reassurances. "Thank you," Clara choked out. "Thank you for saving him." "You saved him," Owen said against her hair. "Your love saved him. I just helped." That night, after seeing Tommy awake and smiling for the first time in months, Clara returned to the mansion feeling lighter than air. She found Owen in his study, working at his desk despite the late hour. "You should be celebrating," he said, looking up as she entered. "Not checking on me. I wanted to see you." Clara perched on the edge of his desk. "To tell you that what you did for Tommy, what you are doing for us, I will never forget it, no matter what happens after this year ends." Owen set down his pen. "Clara, I need to tell you something." "What?" "This arrangement, this contract, it was supposed to be simple. Clear boundaries. No complications." He ran a hand through his hair, frustration and something else flickering across his face. "But you are making it very difficult to keep things simple." Clara's heart began to race. "What do you mean?" "I mean, when you smile, I forget we are pretending. When you touch me, I want it to be real. When you walk into a room, everything else disappears." Owen's voice dropped low. "I am falling for you, Clara, and I know that was not part of the deal. I know I have no right, but I cannot keep pretending I do not feel it." The words hung in the air between them, dangerous and beautiful and impossible to take back. Clara should have been shocked, should have reminded him about their agreement, should have stepped away and re-established the boundaries they had so carefully drawn. Instead, she said, "You are not the only one." Owen's eyes widened. "What I think about you constantly? When I wake up, I wonder if you slept well. When I am in a room without you, I wish you were there. When you touch me, even casually, I feel it for hours afterward." Clara's voice shook. This was supposed to be business. But somewhere between signing papers and watching you hold me in that hospital, it became something else. Something I do not know how to name. Owen moved his chair closer until their knees touched. "Say it anyway. Even if the words are not perfect." "I am falling in love with you," Clara whispered. "And it terrifies me because this has an expiration date. In less than a year, I am supposed to leave. To take my money and go back to my life. But I do not know if I can. Not anymore." Owen reached up and cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs brushing away tears she had not realized were falling. "Then we change the terms. We tear up the contract. We make this real. But what about your board? What about the arrangement? Let them try to remove me. I will fight them with everything I have. But I will not lose you because of a business deal I made when I did not understand what I was giving up." Owen leaned closer, his forehead touching hers. "Clara, I have spent 2 years convinced I would never feel whole again, that my life ended the night of that accident. But you walked into a hotel room and reminded me that broken things can still be beautiful, that wheelchairs do not define worth, that love does not follow rules or logic or contracts." Owen, Clara breathed. "Let me kiss you. Not for show. Not for anyone watching. Just for us." Clara did not answer with words. She closed the distance between them and pressed her lips to his. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, like they were both afraid the other would disappear. Then Owen's hand slid into her hair and deepened the kiss, and Clara felt the world fall away. This was not pretend. This was real and raw and absolutely right. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Owen smiled. The first truly unguarded smile Clara had ever seen from him. "So," he said, Should we tell people the contract marriage turned into actual love? Or let them think we are excellent actors? Clara laughed, the sound bright and free. Let them wonder. Some mysteries are more fun unsolved. 2 weeks later, Owen stood before his board of directors with Clara beside him. Richard Sterling had called an emergency meeting. Certain he had enough votes to remove Owen as CEO. Gentlemen, Richard said smugly, we all know Owen's personal situation makes him unsuitable for leadership. He is isolated, unstable, unable to maintain the focus this company requires. Owen squeezed Clara's hand, then spoke. You are right. I was isolated. I was struggling. After my accident, I convinced myself that leading this company was all I had left. That without it, I was nothing. Richard smiled, sensing victory. But I was wrong, Owen continued. I am not defined by this company or by my wheelchair. I am defined by the people I love and who love me back. By the work I do every day to make medical care better for people like me. By the fact that I refuse to give up even when giving up seemed easier. He looked at Clara. My wife taught me that. She reminded me that strength comes in many forms. That vulnerability is not weakness. That asking for help is not failure. The room was silent. So vote however you want, Owen said. But know that I am not going anywhere. This company is mine. I built it with my father. I grew it after his death, and I will continue to lead it with everything I have, with or without your approval. The vote was close, but in the end, enough board members sided with Owen. Richard Sterling was forced to resign, and Owen kept his company. That night, Owen and Clara stood on the balcony of the mansion, overlooking the gardens where fireflies danced like fallen stars. No more contracts, Owen said, turning her to face him. No more expiration dates. Just you and me figuring this out together. Just you and me, Clara agreed. Marry me again. A real wedding this time. With Tommy there and flowers and a ceremony that means something beyond business. Clara laughed through happy tears. We are already married. Then marry me every day for the rest of our lives. Choose me. Let me choose you. Build something real and lasting and beautiful, as Clara whispered. Yes to all of it. Yes to you. Yes to us. Yes to whatever comes next. Owen pulled her down into his lap and kissed her under a sky full of stars. And Clara realized that sometimes the most unexpected paths led to the most extraordinary destinations. She had walked into a hotel room to clean. She left with a man who showed her that love was not found in perfection. It was found in choosing each other, broken pieces and all, and deciding that together. You were whole. Months later, Tommy stood as best man at their real wedding. Healthy and strong, Mrs. Grace Chen cried. Happy tears. Dr. Hayes attended and told anyone who would listen about the miracle of modern medicine and stubborn hearts that refused to quit. And Owen Mitchell, the man who thought he had lost everything, discovered that he had actually found it all in a woman who saw him when everyone else looked away, and a love that started as pretend and became the truest thing either of them had ever known, and a promise made at midnight that changed to lives forever. The end.